I'm Kim, the Abundant Traveler, and welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the top things to do in the country of Andorra. That is this tiny little country between France and Spain. My channel, it's all about laid-back luxury. I'm here to inspire you to buy that plane ticket, get out there and go. I want to make your trips easier to plan, easier to do all the research for you. So all you have to do is watch this video and then head out to that perfect destination. Andorra is a charming country in the middle of the Pyrenees, famous for its skiing, but also unbelievable summer activities as well. There are 85,000 inhabitants and it is a tax haven and a shopping mecca. I'm going to talk about outdoor activities, museums, places to go, places to visit, and the best tour guide in town. But let's first start with the cities that are important to visit. First and foremost, Andorra la Vella, or La Vella, is the capital city of Andorra. It is where most of the population is. It's the best jumping off point for anything in Andorra. It's also the hub of the transportation system, so the buses come into Andorra la Vella as well. It also has some of the best hotels. The second area that I recommend that you visit is Caldea, which Caldea is a town located just next door to Andorra la Vella. In fact, you can't even tell the difference between if you're walking between Andorra la Vella and Caldea. When I was in Andorra, I stayed in Caldea because I wanted to spend time at Caldea Spa, which I'm also going to talk about in a second. The next two areas to visit are the North Valley and the Orient, or the East Valley. The North Valley I find a little more charming, a little less packed with people. There are incredible little towns like Vall this direction, Ordino as well. Some great restaurants, some great bordas, great food, and great places to visit and go hiking. If you take the Orient Valley, that area is famous for its skiing. You have Encamp that way, you have Canillo that way, you have some of the top sites, which Mirador and the Tibetan Bridge are up that direction. The final area that you should visit while you're visiting Andorra is a World UNESCO Heritage Site. And this is a doozy to pronounce, Madru Perafita Claror. Hope I said that correctly. This particular area shows the way the Pyrenees worked and people lived throughout a millennia. There's glaciers, pastures, it's great hiking. You can see old architecture, old farmhouses. It covers 9% of the Principality and it is a must-see, especially if you want to go do some hiking. Now that you know the general areas to visit, you need the perfect tour guide, and Charlie from Andorra Free Tours is your perfect guide. I've left his information in the description below. He is wonderful. I took a city tour with him and I also did a private tour where he charges by the hour, and he took me up into the North Valley and showed me the most charming towns of Vall, Yorts, and took me up almost to Lake Tristaina, which was an incredible 4 hours. I learned so much about Andorra and I highly recommend visiting Andorra with Charlie. Now that you have the perfect guide, one of the other big things to do while you're in Andorra is to visit Caldea Spa. I have a designated video on Caldea, everything that you need to know, so make sure to check out that video as well. The Caldea Spa is one of the largest in Europe and it has these beautiful hot springs that come through. You can get a massage, there's a adult only, there's kids friendly areas. It is an incredible way to spend the day. Outdoor activities. In the winter, you have to go skiing or snowboarding. The country is in the middle of the Pyrenees. It's like 90% mountains. So you've got to come up and go skiing. They have incredible areas. Arensal is an incredible area. Up in Canillo and in Camp. Those are beautiful areas to go skiing. In the summer, though, the summer is known for mountain biking, both on-road and off-road mountain biking. When I was there, they had just finished a big European championship there. It's also a wonderful place to go hiking. I hiked a little bit while I was there. It was spectacular to go hiking in those gorgeous, gorgeous mountains and those open green pastures with the old medieval and Romanesque architecture, the churches. I just loved the hiking and the weather was perfect. By the way, in the summer, in August, when the rest of Europe is hotter than Hades, going to Andorra is perfect. In addition to mountain biking and hiking in the summer, I definitely recommend that you go horseback riding. Horseback riding is such a fun adventure. You can go on short rides or long rides. It's well worth seeing the world from the back of a horse. So with the outdoor activities, if you're looking at hiking or you're looking at skiing and you are interested in what I pack in my day pack for day hiking or the clothes that I take to go skiing, make sure to go to the description below and check out my free downloads. They're free to you. Why not download them? Now that we've talked about some of the outdoor activities, let's talk about some of the sights to see outdoors. At the top of the North Valley, I recommend going to see the sundial, which is 42 meters in diameter. It's huge. It's a new site and quite a spectacular thing to see. You can see France, you can see basically all of Andorra from this site. Also in that same area, you can hike to Lake Tristaina. There is a beautiful lake there. It's a relatively easy hike, 30 minutes, and you can see 3 gorgeous lakes. If you're interested in learning about those in particular, make sure to watch my designated video on those 2 sites. The next place you need to try is going up to Canillo. Go see the Mirador, the Roc de Quer, which kind of looks like it's the thinking guy, a little bit like the thinking guy, even though he's not a thinking guy. You can see all of the valley below. It's gorgeous up there. You can also go to their new site called the Tibetan Bridge. That is very scary to walk across because you are over the precipice. It is quite a sight to see and a place to visit. Again, if you'd like to see those 2, make sure to watch the video on those in particular. The last 3 outdoor sites to see are all located very close to each other in Andorra la Vella, which is the capital city. The first is the Noblesse du Temps. This is a Salvador Dali, actually it's a clock that is sort of warped and very Salvador Dali-ish. It is a typical meeting point for tours. That's where Charlie meets you on his tour. It's also a great Instagram location, and just behind it is the Paris Bridge. So if you can get a shot of the clock and the Paris Bridge behind it, it is the perfect Instagram shot. And also that Paris Bridge that I think is a gorgeous piece of architecture is lit up in the evenings. And so definitely when you're walking downtown in Andorra la Vella, check out both of those sites. The last outdoor site to see in Andorra la Vella is the Solar Irrigation Canal Trail. This is a concrete or stone trail that goes all the way through Andorra la Vella and up into the mountain, where you can get the best view of the city. Definitely worth taking that particular trail. Very easy hiking. Now that we've talked about lots of outdoor activities, it might be raining or snowing, so you need some things to do inside. Let's talk about a couple of the famous museums. What's famous in Andorra is tobacco growing, electricity, and iron. But there is a tobacco museum that shows the history of the tobacco farms and the production in Andorra. There's also an automobile museum, which is one of the most important in Europe. This particular automobile museum shows the history of the automobile, and it has, I believe, about 80 different cars in it, so you can see different engines, different styles. A very important museum in Andorra and in Europe. The next little museum that I recommend that you see is a miniature museum, and this one is in Ordino. It has miniature Russian dolls, it has miniatures from some of the most famous sculptors, and some of these miniatures are so small that you need a microscope to see. So to see these miniatures, you're actually looking through a microscope. If you are into artwork, then I recommend that you go see the Thyssen Museum, which is a relatively new museum in Escaldes. This particular museum has incredible paintings from the 19th and 20th centuries, shows the modernism of American and French painters, and is a wonderful collection from the Baroness. And the last little museum that I recommend to you is the Postal Museum. They have over 50,000 stamps from Andorra. They show you the history of communication and mail throughout Andorra and Europe. It's a great little place to stop in for a few minutes. In addition to the indoor activities at the museums, there are a couple very important architectural buildings that I found super interesting while visiting Andorra. The first is in the heart of Old Town Andorra la Vella, and that is the Casa de la Vall. That is the old Parliament building that held the Parliament from 1702 to 2011. What's interesting is it's a beautiful old home with a really skinny Parliament where they all sat around in this very enclosed chamber. And also what is also interesting is just below it, when you walk through the plaza and look down, that is the new Parliament building where they now have all of the government of Andorra. So the two juxtaposition is quite interesting. And if you take a tour with Charlie, he will show you and tell you everything that you need to know about those two Parliament buildings. The next two important buildings I recommend are churches. The first one is the Basilica Sanctuary of Meritxell. Meritxell is the patron saint of Andorra, and so this basilica is extremely important. There was a fire in 1972, so the architecture now is quite modern. They had these gorgeous arches on all sides of the church. It's very modern, very clean line, but it is definitely worth taking a visit and just spending a few minutes up there just to pay homage to the patron saint. The second church I recommend is one of my favorite things that I did. There are plenty of churches to see throughout Europe, but this one is very, very special. This is Santa Coloma, and it is located just outside of Andorra la Vella, just a couple of miles. Be careful about parking because parking can be tricky, but it is a beautiful pre-Romanesque church, one of the oldest in Andorra, and it was built between the 8th and 9th century. They give a wonderful little tour, and what is so beautiful is that all of these churches historically were covered in paintings because people could not read and write. So the stories of the Bible were painted on the walls. Well, there are a few of the murals left in this particular church, and also they have a video show showing you where all of the murals were and what they looked like historically. It is a beautiful little spot to visit. Takes about 30 minutes, and I highly recommend going to this church before you're out and about in your car driving around throughout the rest of Andorra. Now that we've talked about things to do, both indoor, outdoor, museums, and some of the best sites, as well as cities, let's talk about important things, shopping and eating. So shopping, Andorra la Vella is a duty-free shopping haven. People come in from France and Spain all the time. There, unfortunately, cigarettes are cheaper, but they have so many perfume shops as well. They have tons and tons of duty-free shopping. There's also all of the major brands like Mango and H&M, etc. to do all of your shopping. Also, shopping-wise, gas is cheaper in Andorra, so if you're driving through, make sure you fill up in Andorra. Lots and lots and lots of shopping in Andorra. Food-wise, there are some beautiful dishes that are famous in Andorra. You can have the Andorran trout, which is delicious. You can have game at one of the bordas, and a borda is a farmhouse out in the mountains that I definitely recommend that you go to. I recommend Borda del Pi. I also recommend Borda de la Arena, or the Arena. They have delicious wood-fired game there as well. Yum, yum, yum. I recommend getting snails, the largest plate of snails I've ever had in my life. I also recommend that you try a few of the items like the creme brulee that is famous there, or Andorra crema de la Andorra. And finally, I think that you should try the national dish of escudella. Escudella is pork, it's sausages, meatballs, cabbage, as well as peas and potatoes, and it's a stew that is famous in Andorra. So those are a few of the highlights of what to eat and what to shop for. I hope that you've enjoyed this top things to do video on Andorra. Make sure to check out my other videos on Andorra, including the travel guide, the hotel guide, Caldea Spa, the Mirador and Tibetan Bridge, as well as the Sundial and Lake Tristaina. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful to have you here. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you on a video very, very soon. Bye, y'all. Out. Now that we've talked about lots of And I also recommend that you try, I have no idea, hold on, I gotta look it up. As well as Sodal. Sodal? Sodal. Sodal? I don't know.